It's a quarterback keeper right side, able to use a stiff arm and pick up about 6. And that's the quarterback, Blake Barnett, dual threat quarterback. Jeffrey Gersh this year, 61% completions, 23 touchdowns to just 5 picks. He also runs the ball to the tune of 10 yards a carry and 16 touchdowns. So a ton of production for this sophomore.
The name of the game is ball control, especially when you get in the playoffs. You can hold it longer. You can keep the other team's offense off the field, and we'll keep an eye on those completions on third down and those pass plays.
Really working that mesh point on the zone read as they'll hand it off this time. Good physical defense that time by the Bears. It was Kyle Ladley on the carry up the middle.
Nice gang tackle there.
Or check that was Thiessen. Thiessen, the leading ball carrier on the season. 1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns. That's their top duo, number 6.
They did hold them
short.
Number
5 and number 3.
So that'll bring up a third down, 3rd and 2 here.
Yeah, big 3rd and short for the Bears. They go with the zone read again. They hand it off, and Thiessen is stuffed. Great defense that time by Palmer Ridge. He made a big catch on the other drive, and it's Ethan Twimsey with the tackle for loss, getting it done on both sides of the ball.
They call him Night Train because he can get into the backfield, but I like to see when he was there just kind of strafing sideways, didn't come up into the backfield too quick, and did a good job of keeping his lane assignments for sure, as well as getting in there and making that tackle, not letting the runner get past him.
So a couple of punts for both these teams early. It's a low snap, fielded well, and the kick will head toward number 6. That's Jimmy Weir. He'll field it on a bounce at the 22. A whole bunch of Erie Tigers in pursuit. Not much room there. Good job by Erie. Their head coach Jeff Geiger has to be happy with where they are right now. Not a team that was highly respected in terms of the rankings, but all they do is keep winning.
I mean, this is a team, the last time I saw the Erie Tigers play, I was just on the other side of I-25 over there at the Air Force Academy Stadium for the championship game of the 3A game. Now, this was back in 2017. Palmer Ridge was the higher seat, so they had to pick the stadium. They were able to work a couple angles, pull a couple strings. I think Calhoun's son was playing at the time, and sure enough, this Erie Tigers, my point is that they're accustomed to playoff football, they're accustomed to championship football, and if you want to hoist a trophy yourself, this is the exact kind of team you're going to have to beat.
About an hour and 22-minute trip for them down here to Monument, Colorado. What a run here by Cook up the middle. 14 touchdowns on the year for the Bell Cow running back. He averages about 77 yards a game. A couple runs this year, a couple games over 100 yards.
There's
like
the
we
first
said, Jeff,
guy.
they want to get him the ball.
Yeah, there's the first guy that hits Connor Cook, and then there's the guy that tackles him. And oftentimes they're not the same guy.
Yeah, Connor Cook, 5'11", but 205. Built like you want him to be built at that tailback position. Play action. This time they want to throw it left side. A little bit discombobulated on that left side. They were looking for the junior. That's KJ Smedley, 17 catches and 2 touchdowns on the year. For KJ, he's a big play receiver, 15 yards a catch.
That was great defense there by Jet Cooper, getting in there, breaking that thing up, getting a hand on it. I like the quick pass and catch. I think that's a good way for Coach Grobe to get Hester into this game early without having to rely on too much precision. That being said, we need those to be precise passes.
Big win last week for Erie over Fruita Monument, 50-26. Handoff right side here. It's Cook, and he'll make it a more manageable 3rd down.
And Connor Cook with the carry brought down by Derek Hall.
They run into the right side that time, and as we talk about the Monument Moving Company, we're going to, all 5 of them are quite important, but those 2 big fellas on the left side, I would say it's a safe bet and a good ticket to the first down line if you can follow those fellas on the next handoff here. This has been interesting. It's been snowing, it's been sunny, and now the wind's picking up. So we're getting all 4 seasons here in just the first 2 drives of this 4A playoff game.
Had a little bit of everything here just north of Colorado Springs. They handed off on the end around, trying to find a seam, eventually getting to the corner.
And that's Aiden
but
Snow.
Shy of the marker. That's the sophomore Aiden Snow. Aiden Snow, rather, the senior. And Snow kind of bobbing and weaving there, but he'll be about 3 yards short. They needed the 43. It's marked at the 40.
With Costanzo out, with Gator sitting on the sidelines in street clothes, get ready for some Aiden Snow. And if I'm the coach, I'm looking to a way to get him the ball in his hands. He's got some of that Caden Dudley explosiveness, some of that Anthony Costanzo reliability. He's very reliable. And at the same time, He's a great athlete. You see him even try and dive for that extra. You know, he's going to give you everything he's got in this game today.
They have a plethora of skill players here at Palmer Ridge. Another bad bounce on one of these punts for the Bears, as it'll be fair field position here for Erie. They'll take over north of the 30.
Covered by the Bears. Will be spotted at the 37-yard.
By the way, love to see
Tigers. 1st and 10.
number 81, Twimsy, doing a little bit of everything. Offense, defense, punting that time.
Oh, yeah.
So involved in every facet of the game.
And last week in the Windy game, 81 did an amazing job, the senior did, of catching the ball on some of those hard snaps and making sure that the play was made.
It's a quarterback keeper once again here.
Ball's out.
And the ball came out. Palmer Ridge with a clear recovery. But our line judge says the ball was down. So that's Craig Robinson walking in saying that he's down. So it'll be a 2nd down and 7.
For the Tigers.
Blake Barnett, a terrific two-way quarterback. 23 passing touchdowns, 16 rushing touchdowns. The bread and butter of this offense is that play right there, the zone read. This time he opts to hand it off, and once again, Palmer Ridge defends it well. It'll force another 3rd down, and you can kind of tell early in this one it's going to be a battle of those 3rd downs with a couple of sophomore quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, I think, once you get to the playoffs, you can wave goodbye to those 40-point, 50-point games. The closer you get to the championship, the closer the scoreboard stays to 0. I'm really keeping an eye on this mesh that they're doing at the handoff. I feel like they're holding the ball just a little too long, and it's actually creating less confusion than more confusion.
Barnett lobbing this one over the middle. Has a man at the 30. Able to find a soft spot in that Palmer Ridge defense all the way down to the 25-yard line. A big pickup for Barnett through the air, and that's the top receiving target. Atzinger.
To Jalen Klickna.
Oh, check that. That's Klickna, number 9. Klickna, 24 catches, 337 yards, 2 touchdowns. There's not really one guy that does the heavy lifting, but a big catch down the field there for Erie.
Erie's got a nice little QB here with this sophomore, throwing tight spirals down the field.
In the wind and the elements here today, bouncing off of tacklers inside the 5. Goes Caleb Thiessen. He's got a nose for the end zone. His next score would be his 20th of the season on the ground.
Yeah, that makes sense that he's got 19 already. He runs hard. He runs down the hill. And then when contact comes, you've got to hit and wrap to make sure that you can slow that big boy down.
Dual threat quarterback Barnett out there with Thiessen. They want to throw it this time left side. It's incomplete.
Looks like that was a quick slant to the wide receiver who slipped. And then I was just checking to see if there was going to be any sort of penalty thrown on the action there, and no penalty thrown. I think that's a good call by the official. Just kid slipped on the slant pattern. I actually love the old slant pattern, though. I love that play call. Keeps you on your toes.
5:14 left here in the first quarter. It's Barnett looking to throw. It's intercepted! The takeaway by the Bears at the goal line. A little hesitation from the sophomore quarterback, and there's number 10, Aiden Snow, with the takeaway.
Players make plays, and athletes make plays look easy. This kid's a player. He's an athlete, and that was a tough play that he made look very, very easy. I'm a little interested to think why, coach over there, Geiger, is going with the pass play, when they've got a big, strong quarterback and a big, strong running back. Hey, that's a great start if you're a Palmer Ridge Bears fans. And the faithful down below, oh, they're letting them know.
A big takeaway, and the ball will come all the way out to the 20-yard line there on the touchback. So the Bears needed one, and they got it. And the offense is back to work. A couple of punts so far for this unit. Handoff right side. That's going nowhere. It's number 44 on the play. That's Andrew Nazarenus. Nazarenus with the big stop there. Stout defensive end.
This is the pillow fight period of the game where we're kind of feeling each other out. We're not throwing haymakers just yet. No uppercuts. We're just kind of feeling each other out. How can they handle our run? How can we handle their D-line? So far, a great battle.
2nd down and 13. Another handoff to Cook. Navigating across the 20. He'll pick up the 22-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 8, and that continues to be the trend. That's the money down across all sports, but especially today with a little bit of elements, Jeff, it looks like these quarterbacks are going to have to make plays on 3rd down and long.
And even 4th down. I mean, once you get closer to those sticks, if you can keep the drive going, control the ball, control the clock, and keep the other team's offense off the field, no shortage of 4th down opportunities by these two teams as well.
3rd down and 8. They put the man in motion. Erie went offsides. They went ahead and blew the whistle. Now, if I'm Palmer Ridge, I wanted that play to continue. Didn't look like anybody was actually had made contact, encroached, or was unimpeded to the quarterback, but it will be a 5-yard mover, so make it 3rd down and 3, and Palmer Ridge is thankful either way for the mistake.
Yeah, Connor Cook can get you 3, much easier than he can get you 7 or 8. So the great thing about now that you're in a 3rd and short, the playbook's open, right? Don't have to rely on the pass, which, Hester in the wind last week had a hard time, and even so far today has completed a couple, but not exactly laser accurate, and so it's great to be in a 3rd and short. We'll see what kind of play Coach Grobe goes with.
3rd down and 3. They got the whole playbook available right here. Erie wants to stuff a run. Instead, they throw it left side. That's caught, stumbling down, still on his feet, and still loose is Jimmy Weir. And did they blow a whistle? I did not hear one, Jeff Gersh, up here. I don't think the players did either. And I'm not so sure that Jimmy Weir's knee was down back there at the 24-yard line where they're ruling him. But that is the ruling, and it'll be 4th down and 6.
What's that knee thing called in between your shoulder and your wrist? I think his elbow hit the ground. So I'm not going to. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you're right on. His knee did not hit the ground. So one of those where I think they're going to call the elbow kind of one of those points of the butt or something like that.
A high kick left side, but it does not go very far for Palmer Ridge, so this will be a very short kick. We're going to see where they end up marking this. It's just at the 35-yard line, so the line of scrimmage was the 27. That's going to go as an 8-yard kick.
Did you just say an 8-yard kick? My headphones are working right, aren't they?
8 yards.
These things are good.
27 to the 35.
These are the nice headphones I picked up. 28-yard. Yeah, that's a tough. I mean, what an amazing turn of events. Jimmer gets loose. Think he might be going to the touchdown. They wave it down. Then you punt 8 yards. Erie's got the ball.
On that mesh point you talked about, Jeff. Now talk about why that can be problematic for the offense and why that's so difficult, that communication between the running back and the quarterback.
The mesh point is there to create confusion, right? And then it's the quarterback's job to read that end. Is the end coming to me or is he coming to the running back? The problem is it feels like, and maybe this is a good job by Palmer Ridge, is that they're creating confusion by not making a firm decision and just kind of slowly getting in there. So that mesh point is going and holding on longer. And now there's a face mask added onto it by the Palmer Ridge Bears. Wasn't quite sure who pulled the mask, but that's the kind of laundry that's really going to hurt you.
So Erie had the red zone turnover moments ago. They get the ball right back after the short punt. And now they're back in scoring position. This time it's a keeper for Barnett. Into the open field, into the end zone. Touchdown, Tigers.
Blake Barnett there, showing exactly why he's the quarterback as a sophomore. You don't get to be a quarterback when you're the sophomore unless you got skills. And that young man has got some skills. That 16 touchdowns coming into it, 17th right there. I mean, what an effort, and amazingly hard to tackle, but that probably explains why he's getting about 11 yards per carry when he does decide to run.
On the season, and not a limited number of attempts, 65 of them, he is averaging over 10 yards a carry, so 694 yards on 65 carries. Big-time performance here in this sophomore season, a breakout campaign for Blake Barnett and a breakout run for the Erie offense. We talked about that zone read mesh point right there. He decided to keep it. Ideally, the way you run that, you make the defense wrong every time. You do the opposite of what they do. If that defensive end that you don't block takes the running back, quarterback keeps it, and he took it into the end zone for the opening score of this one. The extra point was also good. It's 7-0 Tigers.
Yeah, on the play prior, they didn't create confusion because they didn't create distance. They didn't get away from each other, so it's easy to tackle two guys when they're all right there, right? Now on the play where Barnett scores the touchdown, that fake, the running back comes ripping off the sideline, and someone's got to go account for that guy. He didn't have the ball, but that's where the hole opens up the middle, and then Barnett took it himself with some shifty footwork and some strong downhill running.
Erie made Palmer Ridge pay for that short punt. And punting into the wind today has certainly been a struggle for both these teams. As it's, you said it, Jeff, we've had all 4 seasons today. The sun was out. We had a lot of snow earlier. As you see, Erie's going to bluff that onside kick attempt every time.
Or are they going to bluff it every time?
That's right. They might actually sneak one in there. Trevor Newland is going to keep you on your toes.
I can already tell that the Erie guys take special teams at practice very seriously.
And how about
the way
that
they do extra points and kickoffs?
And how about that kickoff right there by Newland as it sails about 8 yards deep in the end zone? And Jeff, this is Coach GTV, and
Yes,
you are Coach G. So
That's
tell us
right.
what it's like to be a coach and know that the other team has some bags, some tricks in their bag on special teams. You got to spend some extra time working on it.
I tell you what, it's the part of the game that when things are going great, you never really know how great they are, but when they're going bad, that's when it becomes very apparent that how important special teams is. And that, when I'm coaching basketball, special teams is rebounds. Special teams is diving for loose balls. Special teams is the time in the game where neither team really has it. And so who's going to do their best to get it back or take care of it or kick it through an upright? We saw a missed extra point last week. That really was the reason why that game went into overtime. And so special teams, and you can tell the teams that take it seriously. And this Erie Tigers team, they're not going to take one play off this game, it sounds like, because they're sure not taking special teams off. So Palmer Ridge has got to be ready. And I think these guys got just enough of a scare last week to make it seem, like they got to be ready.
Jace Onstad makes the tackle on that bubble screen to number 6, Jimmy Weir, a play they've favored early and often in this one. This is another handoff to the starting tailback. It's number 21, Connor Cook, who has been the bell cow this year. And I'll tell you, Jeff, I get to do a lot of those RMAC football games, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. That is how those running backs are built in that league, and they've had some really good ones. Guys like Cameron Mayberry or Austin Eckler, or they had a pretty good player at Chadron State named Danny Woodhead as well, and they're built just like Connor Cook is right there. Offsides, I believe, is going to be the call on Erie. I'm not sure a flag came in. It looked like the Tigers had jumped, and I'm not sure that third down play crossed the 30. That's the spot they're going to need to move the chains.
Speaking of Chadron
they will
State,
move the chains.
Speaking of Chadron State, we do have Palmer Ridge alum and the original Wright brother, Saxon Wright, in the building today.
Oh, outstanding.
And Miles was there just a couple weeks ago when Chadron came to Golden to play at the oldest stadium west of the Mississippi.
That's right.
Where the ore diggers run wild. Oh, man.
Blaster the Burrow.
Blaster the Burrow ran for 800 yards the game
That's
we
right.
went to.
As Jeff Gersh was keeping track of some Burrow rushing stats that day, as we see a throw here right side. Another big hit out there by number 22, Jace Onstad. But they're really getting Jimmy Weir the football in the flat. They really feel like he can make some plays for him out there in space.
And, just as Costanzo and Robinson are not out there, that it's Weir time. You know what I mean? It's time to get that guy the ball, and Jimmy's ready. And I think he likes to go by Jimmer, if I'm not mistaken, BYU Fredette style.
I like that.
And I'm a big fan because I've got a father-in-law named Jim that I call Jimmer. So there we go.
Looking for the deep ball here, looking for number 10. That's Aiden Snow. Good coverage by number 16. Trey kind of had him hemmed in on the sideline, but that throw was never going to be completed as it carried him out of bounds. We'll see another 3rd down and 7 here.
Yeah, that's one of those passes. You had the coverage you wanted, single. You had the receiver you wanted, 10, right? And I think the wind's not exactly blown to the point where that one got blown out of bounds. That ball's got to be thrown in bounds.
Yeah.
Let your guy make a play. Or I think 16, the cornerback was beat, where the ref would have thrown a flag if that ball didn't go sailing into the out-of-bounds area. As
the snow is falling here in Monument, Colorado, the give here is to Cook right side. They needed the 40-yard line. He'll pick up, looks like the 37 will be the spot, so 3 yards shy. Jeff Gersh on their 3 previous punts. They really haven't been able to make much hay. The last one went for just 8 yards into the wind. And let's see if potentially here. Okay, so this is actually a really smart call, I believe, over here by Jeffrey Geiger. That was going to be the last play of the quarter. They were going to flip sides. Palmer Ridge was going to be able to punt with the wind. Jeffrey Geiger clued into that, aware of how effective that wind has been in this first quarter. and went ahead and took a timeout here with 18 seconds left as you see the snow falling here at Lewis Palmer High School.
Hey, we're really moving up in the world. Look at us indoors doing a broadcast.
Big time.
Big time, Timmy Jim. Hey, I think it's 4th and 3. Don't let the scoreboard fool you. Might even be 4th and 2. I see the punt team out there. I know back in the Coach Pulford days, going forward on 4th down was far more common. Today looks like they're going to go for the punt. And with this weather and with the last drive you gave up, I think you're trying to push Erie back as far as you can. Let your defense put some pressure on them.
It's number 16, Trey Kana, and number 5, Caleb Thiessen back to return. They're split at their own 30-yard line. This is a much better kick. Let's see if it takes a Palmer Ridge bounce. It does not. Another brutal bounce against the Bears. All three of them have carried him just like that, Jeff, and I don't think that Twimsy could do that if he tried, if he busted out the 9-iron or the pitching wedge, as those things have taken about 5 or 6 yards bounces in the wrong direction against Palmer Ridge.
And if that ball lands on the 6-yard line, it bounces in the end zone. You know, that's Murphy's Law of punting.
So 10 seconds left here in the opening quarter, and we'll get another look at the star quarterback Blake Barnett, who just rushed for his 17th touchdown of the season. They hand it off. This is number 9, and that is their top receiving target, Clickman. Clickman will take it to the 45-yard line, and that'll do it for the first quarter of play here in Palmer, Colorado. Both teams exchanging punts, an interception in the end zone, and then Erie able to rush it in with their sophomore quarterback. They lead at 7-0.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of first quarter, that's, you know, if you're Erie, that's about as good as it can go, right? When the team you're playing in a playoff game has a 0 on the board, that's when you start to feel good about what we got going on here.
Yeah, and you can see Don Breezy Stadium is definitely seeing quite a bit of snowfall right now, as it did on our drive in from the Denver area. Maybe if you're a skier, you're happy about this, but Jeff, if you're a quarterback, this is not the ideal conditions to be slinging that thing.
Yeah, it's not quite passing weather, that's for sure, but it's better than last week. Last week the wind was borderline unbearable, and it was a beautiful day. I was like, and my lips got all chapped. I'm like, what the heck happened? And I realized we were out in 30-mile-per-hour winds sitting up on that bird nest over there. So, yeah, I think today's a little bit more ideal for passing. And we saw it, right, you know, with Barnett's tight throw on that third down.
He did throw a nice deep ball there.
And it'll be interesting to see which way, like you said, with the wind. Is it easier to throw going from our left to right, or is it easier to throw going the direction the Bears are going?
Sure looks like the Bears have the wind here in the second quarter, as that throw over the middle is caught by Clickman. Clickman on the season, rather that's Clickna. 24 catches coming in, 337 yards, 2 touchdowns, but a couple of big ones already in this game, including the deep ball on that 3rd and long earlier that set up the touchdown.
Boy, these Erie boys are well fed. They're athletic. They got, you know, I mean, I see a bunch of kids out there with big, strong legs.
Yeah, look at 2, 4, 3, 5. Those are good-looking skill players right there.
They could play running back, tight end, or wide receiver. And so I think, and that's the kind of football player you get up there in Erie. They play good football up there. And it's no mistake that they're here. They're undefeated. They got no losses.
Handoff up the middle. That's number 5 once again, Caleb Thiessen. Thiessen had a big season. He's the bell cow running back for them. How about this for the ratio of how many carries he's gotten compared to the backup running back? It's Trevor Kana, 115 carries to 22. So roughly 10-1 there between those two guys, and they're really going to make sure to get number 5 the football.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be 3, 5, and 9 in terms of Erie. These are the 3 guys. And that kind of is like what Loveland had in their approach last season in their games, where they had 3 really athletic guys, and they would just find different ways to get them the ball.
And that's Caleb Thiessen again around the left end. And we talked about this. The bread and butter of this offense is going to be that zone read, and it's on the quarterback, Blake Barnett, to make the decision. Does he hand it off? Does he keep the football? Right there, he decides to hand it off, depending on what the defense does. You see a lot more RPOs in the modern game than this zone read that was really in vogue about 10 years ago, but Erie running it to perfection here today. Big 3rd down and 3. Rolling right now, throwing back. They set up the screen. It was knocked down by Palmer Ridge. Big play up front right there by number 44. Looks like he might have hurt himself, but Cooper Havenar with a big swat of the football on a 3rd down. And now he's down at the 40.
Tigers, and that'll bring up 4th and 3 for Erie.
Well, I love the play call, actually, there. I love the screen. So hats off to the offense. I was calling for some screens last week. It's a nice, easy play you can run. But more so, what an effort by 44 there to get a hand on the ball, to understand that if this ball gets past me, this could be trouble. You know what I mean? It's one of those where the instinct kicks in naturally where you're just thinking to yourself, uh-oh.
Yeah, there's a bit of desperation involved with those plays when you're out there on an island, and there's so much space involved. It's also got to be a little bit, not to make a pun here, eerie, to see somebody let you run by as an offensive lineman, and all of a sudden now you have a free run. The antennas have to go up, recognizing that something's up on that play. So great job by number 44, but couldn't make it to the sideline. So our concern right now with number 45, and that's Cooper Havenar. As you see, the sun has gone away, and it's the snow falling here at Don Breesy Stadium.
This is the kind of precipitation I think we all can live with. It's if it gets to get a little wet and a little windy, because then it gets cold. But I think this is a fun little Colorado playoff football kind of atmosphere for this weather.
Especially when you're indoors and the camera guys, Chad Tormina and Nick Archuleta, they're sitting outside. So it's definitely, you know what, Jeff, you're right. It is a very good weather day here, and we're having a great time.
It's a good day to be Miles and Jeff, that's for sure. And you know what, hats off to Chad and to Nick for coming down here and making this a part of their day. Chad did an amazing job when he was doing color, and I ran play-by-play for the first game of the season. And then last week, Nick Archuleta never called a football game, I don't think, in his life, and he absolutely nailed it. And he got, for his efforts, a double overtime game that came down to the last play of the game. And just really one of those kind of games where even I, the guy who very rarely comes at a loss of words, had near nothing to say at the ending of that game. It was like nothing I've ever seen.
Well, they are working on the left leg right now of Cooper Havenar, sophomore tight end and linebacker, 185-pounder, and looks like they were moving it around quite a bit, so that's a very good sign. And now he's putting some weight on that left foot as well, as he is up and walking off with a little bit of assistance from the training staff. But, Jeff, you know, that's where the depth is going to come into play, especially right here on this important fourth down and 3.
Fourth down, I want to see. They're breaking this huddle, and that when you're in a huddle, yep.
Little sugar huddle here, as they don't want to give him any time to align.
They're going to try and get a false start. They're going for it. I like it.
It's Barnett on the keeper left side, breaks a tackle using that big physical frame to pick up the 30-yard line. They don't list height and weight as another flag comes in late on the Erie sideline. It looks like it's going to be against the Bears.
Brought down by KJ Smedley,
but I would say that Barnett is a solid 6'1", 190, 195 or so. I'll tell you right now, let me be the first to say, and maybe I'm not, but that looks like a prospect right there of, at least the Division II, maybe sub-FBS level, but that's a good-looking football player right there in Blake Barnett.
And the one thing you can't really measure about Blake is his heart, and that play you needed some extra heart. He got hit in the backfield. It looked like maybe he wasn't going to get there, and then next thing you know, he's bouncing around the left side, getting the first down, and then some, and then he must have done something on the sideline to get a costly penalty. And the last time,
it's on Palmer Ridge here.
Yep, last time Erie scored, it came at the behest of a 15-yard penalty, and here they go, another free 15 yards down inside the red zone now.
A bunch set to the right. They'll hand it off. This is the tailback, number 5, Caleb Thiessen, up the middle. Two-headed monster of Thiessen and Barnett. So 246 carries on the season overall for Erie. 115 for Thiessen, 65 for Barnett. So about 3/4 of the ball carrying this season has been done by those two men.
Yeah, and if it ain't broke, don't go duct taping it.
They got Atzinger on the right side, big-bodied wide receiver / tight end. See if they run behind him. They'll give it left side toward the goal line. He's down right there inside the 5, but Caleb Thiessen knocking on the door of his 20th touchdown of the season. He's got 19 coming in on the ground.
Thiessen does a nice job of getting a full head of speed.
They go right back to it quickly. Barnett with the head of steam into the end zone. I'm not sure that Erie was set, but no flags come in. And it's the 18th rushing touchdown of the season for Barnett, and Erie leads it 13-0 here at the home of the Bears.
And that drive is one, 3 parts Erie doing their job and 1 part Palmer Ridge giving them a free 15. And in a game like this, when tackling is going to be at an all-time high and every yard matters more, you cannot be given these penalties, especially after the fact or with the face mask.
You can see once again that Erie's clearly working a lot on special teams in practice. They've got that swinging gate set up. They run at the football every time on the kickoff. And the extra point is up and good. That's number 36 with the PAT, Caleb Harner.
Remaining in the first half, the Tigers are up 14-0.
It is 14-0 Tigers here. Now, Jeff, there's a lot of character built in, a lot of equity built up with this Palmer Ridge program in terms of their mental toughness, in terms of their belief in this program and the guys they have on that sideline. Obviously, it's a new coaching staff this year, but that tradition doesn't graduate, doesn't move on with a couple of state championships under their belt while these young men were in high school. So what does that do for you in terms of your internal fortitude on the sideline?
Yeah, I've been here, and I've seen these Bears play for years now, and I've seen the Bears win by 40, and I've seen them down 14 and win by 20. So, it's one of those instances where it's not an ideal spot you find yourself in, and that's called life sometimes. You can't really choose all the spots you're in, but how you're going to handle it is going to be important. And like you said, these are guys that they work hard in practice. They work hard in the classroom. They're good guys, and they understand the importance that, there's going to be some adversity, and we're ready to fight back.
You can see it's definitely easier to kick right to left here as Palmer Ridge wants to set up a trick play, and Erie did not bite on it. Great pursuit right there for the Tigers. And I want to find the young man that was responsible for staying in his lane that time. I believe it was number 37, C.J. Reeves, who just was not fooled on that fake handoff.
Yeah, the trickeration, sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it takes a little bit more out of you than you needed there. But that was the kind of play where the one thing you didn't want to have happen at the end of that play is to be inside your own 10-yard line, and that's where they find themselves. It's important time in the game right now where, you got to go with what got you here. You got to dance with the date you brought, and if that's me, I'm running behind the left side.
The side of that offensive line, Connor Jones and Alec Falk. They will run up the middle this time. A nice carry, maybe the best one of the day perhaps, for number 21, Connor Cook. Let's talk about the rest of those guys on the offensive line. Will Lotz, number 75. Antonio Perez, number 69. Jackson St. Aubin at right tackle. And that group has been really the foundation of this team the last several years. They'll run behind it again, the left side of the offensive line, creating some running room there for Cook. Nice tackle by number 87, Derek Hall. Move the chains. That's a big one for Palmer Ridge.
First down.
They need to get that running game going, Jeff.
I think this is the kind of drive where, you gotta just own the ball a little bit. You gotta own the clock, and if you can go 90 yards and get yourself a touchdown, that's amazing. But more than anything else, you gotta own the clock.
They throw quick left side looking for number 5, KJ Smedley. It wasn't there. Look at the extra offensive lineman in the game right now. It's number 65, Logan Miles, a 245-pound junior. He's lined up at tight end on that left side as an extra offensive lineman. So Coach Ermintrout going with a little bit more beef up front.
Oh, and Coach Harris, too. The more linemen, the better, unless they're feeding them on Thursday night at the carbo load dinners.
They moved him over to the right side this time, and they handed up the middle to Cook. The hammer to the nail will pick up the 30-yard line on an important second down to set up a more manageable third down.
Yeah, I like the pass call on first down, and then the execution is what I didn't care much for. I want those passes, those easy passes, to be catchable so that your playmakers can make plays.
Third down and 5. 8:25 left in this second quarter. It's a big possession here for Palmer Ridge, trailing by 2 scores. Quarterback Derek Hester on third down, hands it off up the middle. That will not pick up the 34-yard line. That's what they needed for the first down. The line judge, Craig Robinson, says that Cook was down. Now he's going to be about 1.5 yards short. Jeff, is this a definitive punting situation or down 14? Do you consider rolling the dice here?
I think it's a definitive punting situation, actually. I don't think you want to get in 21 down. It looks like they're having a little personnel issue. There's one guy that's supposed to be out there. There we go, get him running in late.
Still in coil, number 27, one of the personal protectors for Twemsey, who gets off an excellent boot. On 4th and short. This one will travel all the way to the 15 and be bobbled there inside the 10. Running room, though, down the sideline. Eventually, the tackle will be made by the deep snapper. That was Walker Heimbach. But
Great
that was
kick.
Thiessen on the return.
It's one of those when the receiver of the punt fumbles the ball, you get excited, right?
Maybe
And
get out of your
run,
lane,
y'all
yeah.
go run after the ball, and then what happens? You forget that guy is back there for a reason. He's explosive. And did you see 5 explode once he picked that up and tried to get around the corner? I mean, a ton of athletes out here for the Erie Tigers. Palm Ridge is going to have their hands full.
Huge punt, though, as that one went about 60 yards in the air.
Wow.
Using some wind, no doubt, but
had an 8-yard punt and a 60-yard punt from the same foot.
this will be offsides against Palmer Ridge. Number 21, Connor Cook, kind of dancing around on that left side. Another two-way player.
First and 5 for the Tigers.
Let's talk about a few more guys out there for them in the secondary. Number 5, KJ Smedley. Number 10, Aiden Snow. And number 6, Jimmer Weir.
Oh, Jimmer.
It's a keeper up the middle. Slung down right there by number 89, Brad Larson, but moved the chains once again on the 1st and 5. A pickup of 6.
I like the way Brad Larson plays. He's a big, strong fella out there, and we're going to need him to really plug those holes and make sure that these guys can't get a full head of steam. That was another great example of how the distance between the running back and the quarterback got so quick that it's hard to guard, and then it made it easier for the QB to just get his yardage.
Quick throw left side. That looked like an RPO to me as they find number 8. That's Caden Lettuce. Pickup of 5.
Brought down by Josh Paganacci and Jeff.
I'm waiting on Jeff Gersh to make a good Lettuce pun here. We'll set you up again later if Lettuce makes another grab.
Say
Second
Lettuce
down
and
and
spell
5.
Cup. No, that's a good one. Oh, boy, Lettuce.
It'll be another
Nice play.
keeper for Barnett. He's hemmed in immediately. Now he wants to get rid of it. This should be an illegal man downfield.
Well,
I
some of
believe on Erie, but I don't see a flag. Now, the coaches on the near sideline are also pointing. There was an offensive lineman. Number 70 was definitively, that's John Pastor, was about 8 yards down the field on that play. But no call coming in. Palmer Ridge going to have to settle with a 3rd down and 2 attempt. Great play there by Barnett. Throwing left side. Nice catch. Once again, that's his man, Caden Lettuce, with a big drive here.
Pass complete.
I had a lot of lettuce flown out of the back just last week, but I got the mullet trimmed down.
First and 10 for Erie.
I think you know what I like about Barnett, how he throws. His throws, if they're going to miss low. So your guy can go down, get it, catch it, and at least get the yards. Whereas Hester, his balls have been kind of sailing high. So I like, even when he's missing, I like how Barnett's missing with the right kind of accuracy.
And Barnett throwing into the wind on this series, fakes the pitch, a nifty spin move up the middle, crossing midfield and the 45-yard line to the 43. And Jeff Gersh, it is imperative right now for the Palmer Ridge Bears to bow their necks and get a stop on this possession. They do not want to go down 21-0 in these conditions.
Yep, it starts by getting stops, right? It starts by getting stops, and that starts right now. This drive for sure is what you'd like, but even this play, you got to start by pushing them back, leaving it at a 3rd and this distance or longer.
2nd and 2 here, throwing over the middle. It's through the hands of number 2, Josh Gerlach, and then through the hands of the Erie Tiger, the intended receiver there.
Ooh, Joshua is going to lose a little bit of sleep over that one tonight, I think. That one was catchable. I tell you, there was some heat on that ball. That was a fastball for sure, not exactly a changeup from our guy Barnett over there. But Gerlach had it in his hands. Then it almost got tipped and caught, like that LSU-Iowa game.
Looking for the deep ball there on 2nd and short. It's a quarterback keeper and a big play on 3rd down as Barnett is dropped for a loss. A little bit slow to get up there.
loss of
Ethan
yards
Twebsme
on the
in
play.
there with a
That's gonna
big
bring
stop.
up
That's his
4th and
second
5
tackle for
the
loss of the game.
Tigers.
Huge third down play there by the Bears defense.
That's what we were talking about. The first stop you needed to get was the incomplete pass. Almost got the pick, but you didn't get it. The second stop you needed was to get to a punt situation. Now here's the third stop you need to get.
Now, I'd
And
be
then you get the
aware
ball
of a
back.
fake on this part of the field.
Erie, although different punter now, it looks like they're changing formation.
And now they want to threaten to go for it. It's a backup quarterback,
And he
Evan
could easily
Rearick.
punt this. He could easily punt this.
Still
right?
could be a quick kick for short. And now a procedure call.
Delay a game.
Either that or delay of game. It is a procedure
procedure.
call against Erie. I kind of like what they were up to there, Jeff Gersh. They had number 11 ready to go there. That was Evan Rearick. Now looking at their season stats, Rearick is the backup quarterback. 32 passing attempts on the season, but Palmer Ridge was keen to it as well, and they sniffed it out.
I would have liked to have seen what happened if that ball was snapped, if they were going to go for it or punt it. I think they were going to snap it, and then he was going to take 2 steps back and punt it. But what happened is as soon as they brought the quarterback towards the line in the shotgun, the return man came into the safety, so there was almost nobody back there.
You know, one more thing I'll say about that play for Jeffrey Geiger is that I think you don't mind taking a delay of game or a procedure call where you were on the field, as potentially that one could have gone into the end zone for a touchback. So I like the position on the field and the position they were in the game to kind of go to that kind of a gimmick. But it'll be Palmer Ridge with their offense once again needing a score here. Jeff, they're just one big play from being right back in this ballgame.
And they've got the players to make the big play, and they got the O-line to do the block, and it's going to come to Hester to make these connections. The pass needs to be caught, and it needs to be a catchable pass.
Up the middle, nothing doing there. Defended well by Erie. Number 55, Ryan McConnell. He's the leading tackler on the team this year for Erie. 51 total stops, and he makes one there on a 1st and 10. Make it 2nd and 8.
Getting it just under 3.5 minutes here after this snap. So it's as much as you want to run the ball, you got to understand that your 12th man is the clock here. And interesting to see what kind of play call comes here in 2nd and long.
Rolling left, looking over the middle, has his man. That's Twemsy across the 30. He'll pick up the 33-yard line, move the chains for the Bears, and that was a big confidence throw from Derek Hester, rolling left, pressured. Tough throw on the run.
I like that play call, too. I think Hester had a nice amount of options there. He had Smedley, he had Twemsy, and then he had a deep route as well. I think keep running those kind of combo routes where he can sprint a little bit one way or the other, and I think that'll help.
And this is a play they've favored throughout the game. There's Jimmer Weir on the little bubble screen, and Jimmer will fight for a pickup of about 5. He nearly got loose on one of those earlier. I think that's part of the hope there is that it's a high percentage play. It's like a long handoff. Jeff, it also stretches the field wide.
Yep.
And a chance to get your playmaker in space.
You know what else I like that it does? You put 2 blockers in front, right? But those guys are wide receivers. You ball fake it, you send one of those blockers deep, right? So it sets up the open like I'm going to run a screen, but instead we sent a bomb.
Palmer Ridge runs a player on late, so Erie should be allowed to sub. They were, but they don't want to. 2nd down and 5. Pushed out of the pocket once again. Hester lobbing one near side. That's caught. That's the junior, KJ Smedley. Another one of those athletes coming up where they just keep restocking here at Palmer Ridge.
You know, I'm telling you what, Coach Grobe should just keep calling plays that puts his quarterback on the sprint, on the move. It keeps him going because these balls that Hester's throwing on the move are tight, they're accurate, and they're coming with some heat. I love these throws he's making on the move. And I like how they're caught and getting out of bounds, too, moving the chains.
They sub the tight end out, and they sub the receiver on. It's Gerlach as they throw it right side. Cook on the catch near midfield. Bowls over a defender and then wrapped up right there at the 48-yard line. Well, that was a really nice meeting of a physical running back and a physical tackler.
I like how he caught that ball knowing exactly where he was going to go. He felt the pressure bearing down from the inside, so instead of going outside, he put his foot in the ground and juked the first guy, and then, yeah, what a meeting of grown young men there.
Another good athlete subbed in on the outside, Chris Rice, the junior, number 7, bottom of your screen, as they get the shovel pass going on here. Cook drags a tackler across the 45. That was number 55 again, Ryan McConnell in there on the stop, but excellent play design set up by a couple of those other rollouts to the left.
Connor Cook.
Just short of the first down there. I thought maybe he got it on that last lean, Connor Cook did, but in fact, it's going to bring up a third down, and I got to imagine possibly a fourth down, as long as it doesn't go too far backwards. Now we're under 90 seconds.
Starting this drive inside their own 10, this has been the best drive of the day by far for Palmer Ridge. Young quarterback Derek Hester, 12 seconds on the play clock here, and they're going to take a timeout from the sideline. I think they know how important this drive is right here, not only for this first half and this ball game, but for their season here, Jeff Gersh. They got to get some momentum in this one.
There's tackles for loss, there's fumbles, there's sacks, and then there's the 5-yard delay of game penalty, and that one is a real kicker. So I think, Coach Armstrong, you get a nice job there of not letting that clock run down to lose 5 yards and get to a 3rd and 6 when you have a good spot here. 3rd and 1, you can do anything you want, including bomb it deep.
I love the leadership right there from one of their top guns, Anthony Costanzo. He's been involved pretty much everything that offense has been doing today. He's had his nose in the huddle.
Vegas bound. Going to be a running rebel when he grows up.
Love that.
Yeah.
This is a good place to come recruit some skill position players and some big guys as well, like Alex Falk and Connor Jones. So always fun. For me, I'm a fan of the recruiting game and watching prospects at this level, and Palmer Ridge has certainly got the cupboard full of young men that can play the game at the next level.
I just think at this time, with only 1 yard being all that you need, I'm not afraid to run a little play action deep pass here, because you need to get even into field goal range with just this little bit of time left.
1:11 left here in the first half. 2 timeouts for the Bears. 3rd down and 1. A bunch set to the right here for Hester. They'll give it to Cook. A nice little hesitation. I believe he's got the first down there to the 42-yard line. They do say go ahead and move the chains. And Jeff, a nice little cut right there, a jump cut by Cook. Cook got the job done.
Boy, he did a nice job of getting that extracurricular yard there, because he was met in the backfield by a bunch of guys who were not.
Hester throwing deep. It's incomplete. A late flag comes in the backfield. It was thrown by the referee, Ken Beltran, and it's in the area of a late hit on the quarterback.
Boy, number 70 out there running off the field for Erie
Josh Pastor
is a big fella. And
he's got the universal sign for it was probably me with the late hit.
It's
going to palms up.
It's going to be hard for a guy of that size and strength to get away with it. But what a huge turn of events. And don't forget, on both scoring drives for the Erie Tigers, they were helped with a 15-yard penalty. And so this is exactly what Derek Hester and the Bears need.
Big drive here so far from Palmer Ridge. They have it at the 27-yard line. Throw left side to Cook. That's incomplete off his hands.
Pass intended for Connor Cook falls incomplete. Defended by Gavin Makick.
By the way, you were talking about Josh Pastor over there, number 70. 6'6", 270 pounds, and he's committed to Kansas State. Big fella.
Manhattan.
Had a sneaking suspicion he might have a Scully offer or two.
The Little Apple, Manhattan, they call that.
That's right.
That's a fun town. I can imagine he's going to have a good time playing. And those are some crazed fans. Kansas, right? Kansas, the Jayhawks, they have their basketball, but Kansas State, they got their football, and they love it.
All-state offensive lineman is Pastor.
False start 21.
And they get Cook for leaning a little bit forward that time.
And before the play,
53 seconds here, Jeff, left in the first half. Erie won the toss. They elected to defer to the second half, so that makes this end of the first all that much more important. And really, Palmer Ridge is in need of a score here. We got a lot of football left, but this would help the tone in the locker room quite a bit.
Yeah, there's not much time left, so it's going to be one of those things where, as much as we love the Monument Movement Company and Connor Cook and running that ball, we're going to have to complete some passes here. Now, the 2 timeouts do open up the middle of the field. I'd like to see some of these guys work the seams, and keep an eye on number 5, KJ Smedley's been running some great routes.
Hester throwing over the middle. It's knocked away. Excellent defense that time by Erie. It's number 87, Sam Hansen. A little bit of a miscommunication that time from Hester as well. He faked and nobody was home. So that play was off script from the start.
I'll bring up a 3rd and 15, a obvious passing down, which almost makes you think there's going to be less time to pass because these Erie rushers are going to be coming after him.
The crowd from the Erie faithful making a lot of noise here on a big 3rd down and 15. Rolling right, throwing over the middle. It's intercepted. He went down right there at the 15-yard line, but clearly picked off by Caleb Thiessen. Late across the middle can be a dangerous combination, and that one was picked off by Erie here with just 40 seconds left in the half.
Boy, I tell you that places I want to see Hester miss his passes are not where he's missing. He's missing high, and high, you never know what's behind it. Low, you know there's grass below. You know it might skip, but these high misses, when they're on the sidelines, it's no big deal, not as big of a deal. But when they're out here in the middle of the field, there's always going to be someone hanging around, and that high miss turned out to really be a tough end of that drive.
Handoff right side, running room down the sideline. It's Thiessen stepping through an arm tackle there at the 30, maybe a touchdown-saving tackle, but there is a flag down in the backfield, and it's not a good sign when your quarterback, Blake Barnett, he's not even in your screen. He's standing all the way back there at the goal line. He's pretty sure that's against his guys.
Nice run, nice speed. I think it was on the wide receiver, number 9, pleading his case. But there was a pretty big gap there, and it happened to be right in front of the official.
And that's the kind of play that if you get a nice scamper on 1st down, you're probably inclined to run a 2-minute drill now that you're standing there in the shadow of your own goalpost into the wind. Here with 31 seconds left in the half. And I'm not sure why the clock is rolling here. It's 1st down. But it is rolling inside of 25 seconds left. A dangerous handoff there as that ball is going to come out to about the 1-yard line. Actually, they'll mark it at the 3. Maybe if you're Palmer Ridge, you consider taking a timeout here and try to steal some points.
Yeah, because it went back to being 1st down, I guess you may not have the timeouts to do it. If that was 2nd going to 3rd down, I definitely think about it. But,
But you'd be hard-pressed to even take a kneel down from the 2-yard line there. So there is a timeout taken on the field here. Jeff, let's recap the season here for Palmer Ridge. 10-1 under their new coach, Mike Ehrmantraut. Just 1 loss on the season. It was here at Don Breesy Stadium against Montrose, but big wins over Pueblo East, Mesa Ridge, Lewis Palmer, a big dominating 49-0 win over Lewis Palmer early in the season. Their first win against Pueblo West came back on September 17th. They had won 5 in a row after their win against Lakewood. That lost to Montrose, and then 5 more wins where they scored 35, 49, 47, 41, and then squeaked that one out last week against Pueblo West. So been a heck of a campaign here for the Palmer Ridge Bears.
Well, their 1 loss came to Montrose, and last year we were here for the Montrose game, and I can tell you for surely that they were down 14 in that game at halftime. So they came back and won that game and went on to, have a great season. So did Montrose, but point being, even in the second half of a game, this Palmer Ridge team is tough, they're resilient, and they can come back. Just like they did against Montrose.
There's a lot of pride, there's a lot of competitiveness, and there's a lot of athletes on that sideline. 15 seconds left. They do snap it into the end zone. It'll be Barnett keeping it himself. Student body left. He's into the open field there across the 15 to the 19-yard line. So a bit of a stat pattern here as we head toward the end of the first half.
The play is a 1st down for the Tigers.
Boy, he's a good football player. I said before, I think he's kind of at the minimum of prospect for that Division II level, and I wouldn't be shy about telling some friends at the Division I level, hey, you might want to keep an eye on this guy north of Denver.
He plays with like this confidence about him, but it's kind of a cool, calm confidence. So I like that. He's not too much in your face, but you can tell he's got swag for days.
See what they want to do here. It's a handoff, left side. This is the backup tailback number 16. I believe there's going to be a defensive penalty on this play, Jeff, as the ball is going to come all the way out to the 40-yard line. But as you know, the half cannot end on a defensive penalty that is accepted. So if this is 15 yards extra, the ball could cross the 45-yard line or the 50-yard line, and then we can have an untimed down to heading into halftime. We'll see if this is indeed a face mask.
I believe face mask. The hand got in there, but I didn't see the grabbing of the mask, but it looked like the kind of head turn that you would see associated with that penalty. They're going to run one more play after they count off to 15 yards.
That's Kana on the carry there. And, Jeff, this has now turned into a little bit of a dangerous spot where you were taking a timeout to get try to maybe get a safety. And now the ball is all the way at your 44-yard line after a pair of feisty runs by Barnett and Thiessen, and then a face mask call will extend the half here with an untimed down.
And to extend the half even further, another timeout just to make sure you got all your ducks in a row.
Well, you can't take them with you, as they say, but this is kind of the awkward play starting with 0 seconds on the clock, but that is the rule here. If there's an accepted defensive penalty, the half does not end. So if you're the offensive team, they have that penalty and you want to go to halftime, you just decline it. But certainly right here for Erie, I have a pretty good confidence in the fact that Barnett can get that thing 45 yards into the end zone and at least get their guys a chance. And also, I have a feeling that Jeffrey Geiger, from what we've seen from him, he might have a hook and ladder or something like that in for this kind of a situation.
That is one of the things, too. Yeah, I mean, even just an end around, a flip play, of this, of that, and the other thing. Any sort of deceptiveness is definitely on the table right now. But honestly, I like just how the quarterback, Barnett, can get himself free. He's going to be able to get enough time just with his legs alone. There's a ball that's going to get thrown into the end zone on this play. I got a good feeling.
They wanted to throw it short. They did want to set up the hook and ladder. There it is. Just a little bit too delayed as he had to double clutch. They ended up throwing it to 55 McConnell, one of the offensive linemen. So interesting bit of trickery there. I'm a big fan of the hook and ladder. Just needs to be in rhythm, and Palmer Ridge did enough to throw that out of rhythm.
Yeah, and I mean, run the hook and ladder to not 55 next time, unless we're just trying to be triple tricky, because I didn't see 55 getting the extra 30 yards needed. But what I find a little hard to believe is that they didn't just let the QB throw that one to the end zone.
It's been a all four seasons type of day here just north of Colorado Springs. Great look there from our guy Chad Tormina on the Hero Cam. And Jeff, certainly cloudy skies above right now, and it's been a bit of an ominous first half for the Bears fans.
Yeah, I'd say cloudy on the field as well. Not a whole lot of just sharpness or discipline. The two penalties came on touchdown drives.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
So it's one of those where the team that's going to win this game and move on to the next level is for sure going to have talent. They're for sure going to have execution, right? And then so what's it going to come down to? It's going to come down to the special teams. It's going to come down to the little things, because when you're this good and you've come this far, it's not on accident, right? So as the little things start to add up, they become huge things. And that's the little things in this game have gone in the favor of the Erie Tigers, and that explains why they're up 14-0.
They do have a 14-0 lead, a pair of rushing touchdowns for Blake Barnett in that first half, and Erie leads it 14-0. We have 15 minutes on our halftime clock here in Monument, Colorado, just north of Colorado Springs. We're going to take a break and be back with a couple minutes left in that halftime break. Talk about the second half as Palmer Ridge trails the Erie Tigers right now 14-0 at halftime.